Hello, everybody. This is the level 2 recording for March 29th, Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. We're talking about how exactly to do the DNA dance movements and how it relates to the actual structure of your DNA and what your DNA is doing through time. I'd like to get to this beautiful comment from chat. Ben says, I'm always floored with your presentations. Thank you again. That is so awesome. Thank you so much. I try to hit all of the most salient points in order to be able to share this. And the truth, like, there's always more. There's always more. I feel like I could always share more. And that's why it's a journey. Like, I feel like we are always there. Like, it's always like music. You can always learn more, express it better, refine it more. But I appreciate the recognition very much. Thank you. And Joy was saying your battery's dying. Don't worry. Thank you for the love from me and Cheeky. It's why I archive everything, because also I recognize not everybody can do the 2-hour-long presentation, and that way everybody can always access it. Hold on, let me drink some water and then we'll get going. So in level 1, I did the zoetrope, wheel of life, relating to our chakras or energy centers, which are these things that are shaped like this, these wheels of energy that are shaped like this, and that literally the rate at which you are spinning those wheels of energy has everything to do with your perception of higher dimensional reality. That we're looking at these uncollapsed waveforms. You know, you're not looking at a room. You're looking at a sea of uncollapsed waveforms, but we're using our visual sense, so our physical senses and our brain and our consciousness, which is not necessarily synonymous with our physical senses in our brain, and our perception, like the filter of interpretation, to transform the potential of fifth dimensional and higher waveforms into an actual experienced reality. That is a lot of artistry and calculation just right there. And I went into the idea of using this flying rainbow lasagna shape as a genetic placeholder and showed you that animation of how, when it jumps back and forth, this shape is the end result of oscillation jumping back and forth. That's a big takeaway. Because, you know, when I first started sharing these ideas with people, and I've been doing this for 17 years, and I had, let me change to my chair. I had lots of friends come over my place in my studio in Woodstock, and I'd talk all about this to them in a very disjointed way. And then finally I made a very like rough and ready animation about it, and I showed it to them, and my friend was like, you've been talking to me for this for 5 years, and I never understood that this is like the static, non-moving version of something that's moving and dancing. So that is a big takeaway. The earrings, the sculpture, these are, you know, static, three-dimensional objects, but that this is something that moves. It's a behavior, it's a dance, and we're dancing with our DNA. So now I want to get into, well, I want to show you the rest of that animation so that we can understand how the dance steps fit together, and then also talk exactly about how energy flows around this shape. But before I do that, let me also say, we place this shape, yes, I would love to see you, Joelle. We place this shape in a higher dimensional state. How do we do this? Wait, first I have to rewind and go back to this. So how do we make that yellow shape? Before we get into how do we make this flying rainbow lasagna shape, how do we even make this basic chakra shape? And the answer is, we start off with just a basic line, and the line is a hoop like a hula hoop. Here, it's a flat line like a hula hoop. And if I make many hula hoops fit together, then look, I'm making kind of like, you know, a sphere. Look, I'll make lines of latitude and longitude. Now it looks exactly like a sphere. We make a perfect sphere. And that's the next. This is like, we started off with the 0th dimension, then we made a line. It was the 1st dimension, then we made the lines together. It was the 2nd dimension. We're doing the same exact type of building. So we start off with a hoop, and that hoop spins around, it becomes a sphere. And then that sphere spins around and becomes a donut shape. So now let me draw a little donut hole, and here's another donut hole, and then here is the cake going around the donut. That's just not a good drawing. Here, make like cake going around there, so it kind of makes this donut shape. There you go, and that's made of many, many spheres clustered together around a central point of nothingness or everythingness, and that central point of nothingness, everythingness, the donut hole, that's the 0th dimension, the Torah of the torus, and we just made a torus. So let me go backwards so that you can see it's a little bit better. All right, wait, donut, donut. And then what we do as the next movement, wait, I should go like this, because that's what it looks like inside of the donut. That's cross section. Then what the next thing we do is we make it spin end over end like that. And when we do that, we've got these little points over here, this little point and this little point, they start to rotate around and they make the complementary torus. And that one also makes one right there. So when I hope you can see this in the thumbnail, When I hold up this yellow sculpture, you can see we've got, you know, the ones that are here, and then we've also got this one here and this one here. The red ones, the vertically oriented, you know, the wheels that are spinning are made from that next movement. Every time you add a new movement, I'm talking about adding an additional dimension. The flat hoop into the sphere, turning it around into the donut. These are all, each new movement is a new movement in the next highest dimension. So we just did end over end in order to create that basic chakra shape. And then if I clean up this drawing a little bit, let me find a different color. So then what we end up having is, you know, just like my yellow sculpture, what I'm highlighting in blue here. These are the basic, it's how we make that shape, all right? You can also think of it as taking a big, giant, super stretchy, like beach ball, a big, giant, stretchy sphere, and this fabric of stretchiness is made out of time, space, and consciousness. I always add in the consciousness because science doesn't want to talk about consciousness, but it's a big part of the recipe of who we are. And if we took big, giant fingers, like God fingers, and we dimpled the fabric so that it was being pushed in by these lines of force in these various directions, what we would end up with is the same thing, that basic 4 vortex shape that also has 2 more vortices, kind of like implication. So that's the, let me clear everything out. That's the basics of how we create that 4 vortex shape. How do we go from, here, go back to my face actually. How do we go from this, the 4 vortex shape, into this? And this is part of like the leap of consciousness that we do, just like in level 1, I said, looking at that optical illusion, to go from the old woman to the young woman, it's a leap of consciousness. So to go from this shape and configuration of your DNA and time body into this shape is a leap of consciousness. And I know I shared with everyone the PDF of exactly the dance steps, like how to do it. Right now we're talking about how is that consciousness leap undertaken. So what you do is you imagine that we have that, go to the color that I want, like that yellow sculpture. You just can't see yellow on the screen, otherwise I would use yellow to be able to make this. You know, we've got these basic shapes like this, basic shapes like this. And the idea is, so we started off with the dimpling of a big giant, you know, ball of time and space, like big giant fabric ball. And there's nothing outside of the ball. Like, this is according to science. And I'm not a scientist, and I'll say that many times. According to science, you've got the Big Bang starting here in the nucleus. That's like the 0th dimension. And then I shared yes, I will share the PDF via the group message, because I know I've got it in the comments section of some of the previous YouTubes, because I want everyone, even if they're not on a special message list, to be able to get that. If this is science's model over here, that we've got the Big Bang, even though I'm not totally on board with this, but let's just use this as an example. Big Bang is the big black dot, it's like the 0th dimension, and then time begins spiraling outward. Oops, let me close this down. Time begins spiraling outward, and each of these successive layers of the big giant gobstopper of time are successive, you know, layers of the gobstopper of time. And then this area over here, where I'm making a squiggly line, that's the present moment now. It's the, you know, the surface of time that we're on. So according to this model from science, nothing exists out here. This is the future where I'm making a black squiggly line. It doesn't even exist yet. No, it's nothingness. It's not even a vacuum. It's stuff that doesn't exist. That's the problem with this model that science gives us. And it's very similar to this shape right here. This shape exists, as I've drawn it, in no context, in a contextless space. So where I'm squiggling with my black pen, there's nothing there. There's not other stuff. There's not other possibilities, other beings, other people, other energy. There's just no stuff there. So the way that we turn yellow time body, this basic time structure of your body, into flying rainbow lasagna time structure of your body, is by placing that shape in a higher dimensional context. Let's get another color, put it in a higher dimensional context. It's putting it in a room. I just drew a box, like we live in boxes, we live in rooms. Here, look, I'll draw a little, there you go. Now it's in a little room. Wait, let me draw all the lines. Now it's in a little living room. It's in a little house. It's in a little cottage, someplace. It's not no place. It's not just even, you know, floating in the vacuum of space would still be being someplace. Now it is in a place. And that means it has a context, and we can move it relative to the context. So what we can do is we can take that basic energy shape and we can make the shape jump up and down. Like first it's going to jump up there, then it's going to jump down there. That's one way to do it. Or we can have the shape stay anchored in one place. And what I can do instead is move the entire room up and make it jump up this way. And then I can move the entire room and make it jump down this way. Either way, we end up with the same end result, which is all of this transforms into, you change the color, into a flying rainbow lasagna shape. That we have made it possible for that shape that where the inside and the outside could not communicate. Now we make it possible for the inside and the outside to communicate. This is what it means to add an additional dimension, and in so doing, gain an additional degree of freedom. Because I feel like I say that phrase all the time to the point where it might be meaningless, like it's just some kind of repetitive, poetry or something like that. And it's really meant to have a very concrete, end result. So the idea is, we're not just thinking of the future as a nothingness. We're thinking of the future as an actual somethingness that we can integrate with. And so we've got everything that's already been established in the past that we all have experienced, either as an individual, like, I was born in this year, so I've experienced whatever, the past 27, the past 52, the past 49 years, however long you've been in this body on this planet. And you also carry with you in your DNA the music of your body. You carry with you from the previous generation of musicians, your mom and dad, and your ancestors going back. You carry all of that information from your ancestral lineage. And you also carry with you events that came from people that weren't even in your lineage, like the events that happened on the planet. Whatever, wars or famines or wonderful adventures and innovations. All of those past events you carry within you. So that's a big, dilate your identity, because it's not only about who you personally are or what your family and biological connected ancestors personally went through. It's about what collectively we have been through as a planet, as a species. That's what DNA connecting to the rest of your species, and not just your species, but all of the animals and organisms that utilize DNA here on this planet. And not only on this planet, but that music reverberates to other places, to other planets, to other times and places. This is big, because science in this time and place, they don't even want to recognize, where did DNA come from? Who invented it? Is there DNA on other planets? Is the stuff that we're doing with our DNA here affecting DNA that is being expressed on other planets? Science is totally unprepared to have any kind of conversations like that. And I will tell you that, yes, DNA is non-local. Basically, what you are doing with your body, with your instrument, that you're allowed to do, P.S., I don't need to give you this permission, but you claim this permission. It's like my body, it's my song, it's my dance, I do what I want to do. What you're doing with your body right now, it has an impact on what, your ancestors and previous generations, and it has an impact on future generations. And I don't just mean if you change the zygotes of your, your sperm or your ova, and then you, put them together and you end up making a baby and the baby's transformed. That's not what I mean. Even if you never had physical offspring, the transformations of the music of your present generation of DNA affects the subsequent generations. Yes, Patricia says, I have to give myself permission to be powerful. Everybody give yourself permission to be powerful. That is what flying rainbow lasagna is. I joke about this, have a little bit of a saucy attitude. Have a saucy attitude, because we are really seriously oppressed, not only on this planet, but other places too. So what I try to say and, emphasize is that the healing that we're experiencing on this planet, individually, social as a collective, planetary as a species, as all the species intertwined together, we then reverberate that healing outward to many, many other times and places, because we're not the only people that are under this level of duress. There are other people. There's a whole, far distant world where all of the inhabitants look like little Yorkshire Terriers. They're also having a lot of problems, and they also need to learn how to transform and claim their freedom. And that it's a very large time tapestry. But don't be the word is intimidated. Don't be intimidated because it's such a big project. It's like a symphony. Symphony is big. Just focus on your own music and know that your music matters. That's a big thing, because I think one of the lies that they teach in this present society is you don't matter. Your imagination and your consciousness and who you are and what you do doesn't matter. Couldn't be further from the truth. Matters profoundly. So, okay, wait, let me drink water. Let me show you this animation. Boom. because I've got the screen share all set up over here. And I'm sorry I'm shedding video 1. Video 2 is the same way. I'm going to be a little rude. I got to look over here to get my video screen share thing going. But technology is going to work. So this is, again, an animation that was done with the help of a professional animator and facilitated by David Lear. Technology work, wonderful. So let me just make sure if you guys can tell me in the chat if you can see that image properly. And let me go back to the beginning of this. How do I go back to the beginning? There we go. Wait. Boom, boom, boom. Nope, wrong one. Wrong video. Hold on a minute. That's not the one I want to show you. Sorry, guys, that was from level 1. Let me try again. Thank you for your patience. My class is always very patient. Okay, 8 half cones coming together. That's not what I want. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. No, I don't want it. Okay, now I have to stop share screen. New share. How about that? FRL rotation. I think that's what I want. Let's make it work. Still not working? Darn it, still not working. Okay, stop share. I don't mean to be annoying you guys with this, but it's super worth it. If I can get it going. Here, exit full screen. Hold on a minute. I'm fiddling with technology here. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for. Boom, this one goes down. That's not what I want to try. I'm telling you, I got this all set up. This is what I want. FRL configurations, rotations. Hold on a minute here, guys. Okay, now I'm going to do this. It's going to be awesome. Hold on. Sorry again. Do it. Yeah, now it's going to work. Okay, cool. So now I'm showing you the actual, and I hope you guys can actually see this properly. So that is the first basic movement of flying rainbow lasagna. We're doing it like basically around the x-axis. But then we can also do it, oh my goodness, look at that, on the y-axis. And this is all within that little space holder of your DNA. And then it flips around. And we can also do it, oh my goodness, on the z-axis. So now what's going is it's jumping back and forth like this, right? Now, watch, it'll go even better. This animation's awesome. Then this is what happens when we do the end over end motion. End over end, end over end. Now you're catching it. Now you're seeing it. These are the basic motions of how you do this dance, like saying the notes C, D, A, F are in the song. These are the basic dance motions. Awesome. So now you're getting what I'm talking about. Thank you. That, like, I'm going to put this together into a much more fancy, professionally edited together with the soundtrack, but I wanted to show everyone. Let me just stop share and then I'll go back to my face. Wonderful. I thank you very much. I'm happy that worked, and thank you. Sorry for the technological glitches and everything. That's the whole idea. An animation is worth 10 million words. So let me go back to whiteboard, what I did in level 1. Whiteboard, level 1. And I drew this. This is DNA, this is DNA. It splits apart, it makes a circle like this, it makes a circle like this, and then it joins back up together and joins back up together. So in that very simple little drawing, I showed, oh, you make a flying rainbow lasagna that's oriented at that angle, and it's made as the end result of, one little purple dot right here in the middle. That little 0th dimension is going to jump up, and then it's gonna, oops, go back, and then it's gonna jump down, and that's what makes that flying rainbow lasagna. But that little purple dot can not only jump up and down, that little purple dot can also jump side to side. Oh my goodness. And then that little purple dot can also jump in and out. Remember the z-axis, in and out. And then that little purple dot can actually make the entire apparatus start to spin end over end in that direction, or end over end in that direction. So the idea is these are all different movements that you can use in order to, oops, things are interesting happening. Okay, it's all okay. Interesting new dance movements that you can use to rearrange your DNA. In level 1, I was saying that each one of those little things on your DNA is like words on a page. and it's the book of you, and your DNA is the integument that ties you together from moment to moment. We jump from body to body. So look, my body of, whatever, 316 is very similar to my body of, 425. It has the same color eyes. It has the same shaped mouth. Like, it looks very similar, but it's not the same body. It's metabolized. Like, all that lunch that I ate before has now been metabolized in this body. Like everything is like, I've drunk a lot of water that my kidneys are processing in this version of my body. Like, this is not the same configuration. My body is not in the same configuration that it was moments or hours ago. And we can take that natural proclivity of moving through time into a future body, and we can master it. That's like saying we can become virtuosos and control our trajectory through time. If you have a body that has a disease or some format of it that's not quite right, you can learn how to jump into a body that is the corrected, healthy version of your body. Or if we've had experiences that are undesired experiences of the past, we can jump into a body that is a body of a healthy, a thriving person that hasn't had those experiences. So this is the idea of having that healing across time. So, okay, when you do the Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance, and that in that PDF, so we'll go over the basics of it very quickly. What do I do? When I wake up in the morning, what do I do? My bedroom is situated perfectly so that as I'm waking up and I leave my horizontal blinds, I leave them kind of open so the sun comes right in my bed. I do sun gazing as soon as I wake up in the morning when the sun comes up. And that's one of the best times to do it, when the sun is at a very low declination. So I do sun gazing. And I also, I gotta walk my dog, and I gotta get out of my pajamas and everything like that. And I gotta eat physical breakfast. So that's all food. I eat sunlight as my food. I eat physical food, and getting some, exercise for my metabolism. That's very, very good. Then what do I do? So sun gazing to fill up my car with gas. Then I get, into a meditative mind state. And for me, I use music to do that. I put on awesome headphones that really make me feel like I'm surrounded by the music. And I put on music that gives me a certain feeling, because this is a big thing, that your DNA, it doesn't just determine the shape or behavior of your protein structures, like your body, like your mouth or your nose or whatever. It has a lot to do with your thought structure and your feelings, and that is also part of what makes us navigate, move through time. Why are we in this body as opposed to one of those other bodies? And the answer is, this body is the end result of a complex series of calculations that you've done with thoughts and ideas and behaviors and expectations and reality structure, like what you think is going to happen in reality. All of that is the recipe, the words of the book that add up to you. With Flying Rainbow Lasagna, that's like getting pencil with an eraser. You can start to erase out the things in the narrative that you don't want to be there. If you're like, I don't like that thing that happened, I don't like this effect on this body, I don't like this behavior of this aspect of the body, like we're talking about disease. I'm not just talking about if you're 5'2", but you want to be, 6'4", not something stupid or arbitrary, or, oh, my brown eyes are boring, I want to have green eyes or blue eyes instead. Nothing as boring as that. More things like, oh, my legs don't work because of a spinal injury, or, having diabetes, or any of these types of things that are literally disease that make the body not function. So not mere cosmetic or the silly things, the appearance-based things that people can seem to focus on. I'm really talking more about the function of the body, because we were all designed to have a completely healthy, functional body, not to have, to be limited or constrained in any way. So, and when we're faced with these limitations and constraints or diseases, then it's like, oh, let me get my pencil with an eraser so that I can start being an artist and erasing out the stuff that I don't want and writing in the stuff that I do want. So the whole idea is, unzip your DNA. And so that process is done so that the RNA messengers can get into those pages of the book and replicate it and share it outside of the nucleus of the cell. But what you can do is you can make it so that with this shape in as a placeholder, you can have new dance partners in the genetic hoedown, the genetic do-si-do. So it used to be, and this is all lesson 10 of, I think, level 1, and I talk about the genetic do-si-do. So if you've got, the DNA that sticks along like this, and then it splits apart here and splits apart here, just like, the teeth of a zipper have unzipped. And usually what we've got are, let's say, we've got red teeth over here, and then green teeth over here, and each one partners up with the other amino acid that is directly across from it. I'm your partner. We partner up together. And so it means that there's a limitation as to what combinations of not only protein structures, but thoughts and events and emotions can happen. There's a limitation. I'm only allowed to dance and do-si-do with that guy over there. I'm bored with dancing with that guy over there. That guy over there, when we get together, we do this dance that's called like how to grow a tumor, how to have cancer, how to be dead. And I don't want to do that dance anymore. So when you put the flying rainbow lasagna in there, let's draw this. We've got flying rainbow lasagna going around the edge, and we've got it going up and down like this and up and down like this. What that allows us to do is now read the same words, but in a different order. Now we can read them across like this. Oh, look at that. We just made a new combination of events and ideas and thoughts and emotions. And if I do, oh, I can do this over here. Oh, I'm going from over here to over here. I just chose a new dance partner. This is what it means to gain an additional degree of freedom. Like I said in level 1, you start off with a flat tapestry, fabric of time, a time plane, something flat, just like a piece of paper that you can fold into origami. And then what you can do is fold that piece of paper so that different events touch. And you can take different combinations of those different events. And you see how I was just moving my hand? I did it a bunch of times. Like, oh, like here's the present moment now, and we're connecting to the not so distant past, the far distant past. And we can do this like, you know, the way that musicians mash things up. Take a few notes of Mozart, put it into a few notes of Jimi Hendrix, you know, throw in the Beastie Boys, put something else in there. Like, it doesn't have to be anything that's limited. Really, the limit is your imagination, and you can come up with all sorts of new combinations of ideas and events and expressions of truth. This is the basic of it. So genetic fatalism, this is like saying it's written in your genes, it's written in the code of your life, it's fated to happen, it must happen, and you, lowly servant, you know, poor peasant, have no choice but to simply endure it. And that's that whole idea of being stuck in time. You're stuck in time, you're being recycled, you're endlessly going around this shape, but not in a willy-nilly sense. You know, like I said, you have to explore all the periphery before you get to go up the center. Like, none of that is what was supposed to happen. What was supposed to happen is that you and each one of us can be the best. Oh my goodness, you know something? I don't know. Oh no, we're doing good. I'm sorry, I just freaked out because I thought that my thing wasn't actually recording. Sorry, false alarm, everything's great. You can be the best version. Oh, and I'll get to all of your comments. Hold on a minute. The best version of what your body can be and what your life experience can be. And that also has everything to do with being integrated with the rest of the time field. Because each one of us, like, we got our DNA from someone, mommy and daddy, and then we pass our DNA to someone else. But I know many people choose not to procreate. It's not necessarily a procreative choice. We pass along our ideas. So you could think of someone who is a great scientist or a great musician who might never have had children or offspring. They are still affecting subsequent generations with the things that they said and did and wrote. Now you're getting it. And that what we carry inside of us, okay, I'll get to these questions. These are really good. What we carry inside of us is the end result of not only genetic information, like what your nose is shaped like, or, you know, if you're built for a cold climate, but also ideas that our ancestors thought and passed along to us. Our cultural heritage, that's a good way of putting it. Cultural and intellectual heritage. So you can transform and use flying rainbow lasagna to transform your DNA. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, now everybody's got to go out and procreate and have babies so that this passes on to the next generation. No, if that were truthful, we would have to wait 20, 40, 50, 70, 7 million years, however long it takes for everything to get caught up. And we don't have to wait that long. We can literally have this instantaneous now in this generation. Each one of us gets to transform our DNA and be this exalted, is the best word I can use for it, metamorphosized form, where we can then experience time in a non-linear fashion. Jen is saying repair everything. Yes, that is exactly what it is. We are talking to ourselves in the future, to ourselves in the past, to different parallel versions of self. There's wonderful parallel versions of Aurora. Like, I joked about, you know, being like an insurance salesperson or something like that. But, you know, there's parallel versions of Aurora, and we all have them. And then there's other lifetimes that I experience, because I'm not just, if this is our energy center and we are looking at the lower quadrant as one life, look, I've got 1, 2, 3 other lives that I'm living concurrently, and the ones that are here and here by implication. Like, I'm connected to a bunch of other people that are still me. And this gets into like, interesting questions of identity. I use that phrase, dilate your identity. So right now my identity is focused on Aurora. I'm like, I'm Aurora, you know, I'm looking out for number one. No, I joke. I'm like, I have to care about what Aurora is doing. I have to care about Aurora has clean laundry for today. I don't have to care about this guy's life and whether he has clean laundry for his day, or this guy or this guy. But if I dilate my identity, ooh, I do have to care about this guy and whether he has clean laundry, because his activities moving through the time field directly affect me. If he's off kilter because he didn't clean his socks, or whatever, you know, whatever the version of socks are in the world that he lives in, maybe he wears sandals all the time. If he didn't have his resources together, then he might not be able to be in a crucial position that absolutely affects me. It's like a trapeze. One person swings into position and the next person catches them, or a relay race. I hand you the baton and you take it and you run with it. And so then you dilate your identity, then it means you actually do have to care about other people. I do care about that guy's dirty socks, whether he can get out and go, you know, run a marathon, or, you know, do the things he's supposed to do, because he's intimately connected to me. Let me get to some of these questions, and I still want to talk about the actual flow of energy. Wait, flow of energy first, but real fast, and then I'll do, because I get off track sometimes. So let's draw this flying rainbow lasagna over here. Here's the curly edge, right? And then I draw these, like, here's, it's hard for me to move my pen all the way down there. Here's one lower purple dot, here's one upper purple dot. And then what we have, it's so hard sometimes. Let me get to this right properly. There, good, now I can get to all the colors. There's no orange in here, so let me just draw, like, here's pink, kind of half circles, and here's yellow half circles. My chair is very squeaky, sorry about that too. Green, I'm just doing this very rough and ready, but you see what I'm talking about. And then here, blue, all right? I didn't even draw all the different colors, but you see what I'm talking about. So in this model of reality, there are only two zones where all of these particles and forces and aspects of consciousness actually meet and interact. One of those zones is this purple dot. Those two places that I circled are actually the same place. It's singularity, it's 0th dimension, and it is jumping up and down very fast. There's only one of them, but it looks like there's two in this picture. That is one place where everything overlaps. It's the 0th dimension, that tor of the torus, the center of the donut hole. It's the convergence point. It's where everything is. And the other place where everything interacts and overlaps is here in the red zone. That's the realm of the physical realm. It's the area of the physical realm. That we are here in this world of matter that many people complain about. They're like, I hate the world of matter and I hate being stuck here and it's so poopy and it's so horrible. But it's not so poopy and so horrible. It's an opportunity. It's like the stage upon which all the actors meet and, you know, whatever, strut and fret and do their thing. That being here in the physical realm is an opportunity for us to interact where we would not be able to interact with on these other non-physical levels that I'm now highlighting in black. And let me, wait, go back a minute. Now let me trace the pathway of energy. If I took like this orange one, if we start off over here where this black dot is, and we're going around in this direction, but then we stop over here. There's like a barrier. We can't go any further. So what we have to do is we have to jump where I'm making these dots. That's a jump. That's a leap through another dimension. And then so it's like you go through, imagine a door, let me rewind. Imagine there's a doorway here, boom. That little arrow goes through a doorway and goes through a higher dimensional reality where I'm now making these dots, and then goes through another doorway over here. And then it reassembles over here and goes across this level of the skin of the flying rainbow lasagna. Then it goes through another doorway over here and travels through a higher dimensional space, and then reassembles through a doorway here and goes around that area. So in this flying rainbow lasagna shape, like where you can see in that little thumbnail there, where I'm sticking my pen, there's nothing there. There's stuff there, but it's energy that's moving in a totally different direction. Energy doesn't flow in that area. That's the extra dimension that I'm talking about. When you add an additional dimension, you add an additional degree of freedom. Where I put the black dots on the drawing and where I put my pen here, that's the additional dimension that we have added to this. That makes it possible for us to reconfigure our DNA and reconfigure reality. Okay, now that I got all of that those are all the high points that I wanted to get to. Yes, space to reconfigure, that's exactly right. You know what it's very much like? If you ever had one of those little children's games, it's kind of like little mosaic tiles with numbers on it, and they can slide around and you try to rearrange them. You got to have one empty space. If there's not that empty space, then it's all of the tiles are packed in too tightly for you to be able to rearrange anything. So flying rainbow lasagna is that necessary tool, that empty space, the egg beater to rearrange reality. And that's what I'm doing when I'm, doing my flying rainbow lasagna meditations. Back to these questions, because I saw them all flash by and I'm like, oh, I got to answer that. That's really good. Okay, wait. Back to beginning. Thank you very much. I love it when you guys tell me take my time and not to worry. And I never worry about whether you guys are most accepting and non-judgmental and wonderful people to share this information with. I appreciate it so much. Okay. Oh, very cool. I like that. Brandon shared this, that he was just imagining the flying rainbow lasagna reconnecting new DNA combos like a multi-threaded serger sewing machine. That's an excellent analogy. The serger, like, I don't have it on this shirt, but like sometimes if you have a hem on a shirt that can fray, the serger makes like a zigzag and seals up the edge of so that all the fabric threads won't come loose. That's a beautiful analogy. That's very profound and very good. Okay, squishing back. Jen asks, this is what I wanted to respond to. Do you feel tingling or anything physical when you do it? The more I learn, the more I'm tingling, repair everything. Okay, my physical sensations when I do the flying rainbow lasagna. So I can start off like in the worst mood. And believe me, I have challenges in my life. Like I'm here in this world, like anyone. I have to pay for my electric bill and I have to integrate with human society. It can be very challenging at times. And I read stuff on the news. I'm like, that's horrible. I'm appalled. Like that shouldn't be going on at all. I do all of that. And that's like feeling like the regular clunky, slow, horrible music of regular human society right now. And then what I do when I put on my music, I'm like, time to get out of that mind state. So the first thing is doing the flying rainbow lasagna, doing this dance, this genetic dance. This is like the easiest part of my day. Having to do like phone prompts for the bank. If you want this, press 1. If you want this, press 2. Any of that like stupid administrating stuff, taking care of taxes, all of that BS. That stuff is really hard for me to do. Flying rainbow lasagna is easy. It's like a consciousness vacation. It's fun, it's awesome, it's free, but it doesn't mean that it's something without effort. It's like if you're a marathon runner or, a really great athlete, it doesn't mean that what you do is easy, but it means that like that is what you're made to do. So this activity is like, as soon as I put on my music, I'm like, screw you, world. Like, go take a leap. I'm doing exactly what I need to do right now. And also, when people try to interrupt me when I'm doing my lasagna dance, it's like, don't even try. Literally, like, I'm in another dimension. I'm doing something important here. Don't interrupt me. That's the other thing. Like, you claim your body, you claim your instrument, you claim your time, you claim that you're allowed to do this. And it's amazing. Like, people will be like, they can almost sense like genetic rearrangement is happening over there. So I'm going to interrupt it. Like, they're for nonsense stuff too. It never matters either. Like, you get stupid phone calls, you get people knocking on your door, like, cause they are, lost and they need directions. Like any kind of stupid things happen because it's like, oh, someone is transforming. So don't allow any interruptions, distractions. That's what Patricia exactly. It's just like if you sit down for a meditation, it's like, now it's time for me to reach enlightenment. And that's when you'll get like all the stupid nonsense to come fall in your lap. So when I do my Merkava in order to kind of like clear the canvas and get everything going. And then when I start to do my dance, so you can see I'm moving my hands. So I'm a piano player. And so I have this loosely structured where there's my right hand. My right hand moves a lot faster and usually does the melody, and my left hand usually does the rhythm. So what I usually start with is a feeling of doing the basic beat, that first basic up-down movement, like I showed you on the screen share, the basic up-down movement that creates this flying rainbow lasagna orientation. And what does it feel like to me? I immediately feel uplift. Like whatever was troubling me, whatever human interactions or nonsense news stories that I was following or whatever, it's like that is right out the window because I'm literally transcending this level of my ego. And I'm not trying to sound pretentious when I say that, but it's like saying for a little while, like I turn off the concerns and cares of Aurora, the small version of my consciousness and who I am connected to the world. And I step into a larger, a more expanded version of my identity where it's like, oh, now I'm doing all the things that really matter on it. Like I'm connecting with microbes, I'm connecting with molecules. It's very abstract. And it also feels like to me, like I'm doing calculations. And when I do calculations, I do a lot with visualizations and looking at it as colors and shapes coming together. I don't know if I've shared that with everyone, but part of what killed the previous occupant of this body left a lot of profound neurological damage, and I didn't have math skills when I first came into this body. So I didn't understand numbers. I didn't recognize them for a long time. It took a long time for me to understand Arabic numbers. But what I did end up doing was rehabilitating my mind to understand math as circles coming together. So I start to see and feel, oh, okay, what does it feel like to me? This is what I should say to everyone. I see all of this stuff internally. So sometimes I have my eyes open to the room, but a lot of the time I close my eyes and I'm in a whole landscape that I see all these things happening. I see all these shapes. I see all these colors. I see them blossoming and unfolding and coming together, and I begin to interact with them. And I start off this interaction, you know, like with the first basic up-down movement, and I'll do that with my own body structure and also with whatever else is around me. Like I got a little African violet plant over there. We got microbes that crawl on the surface of my skin. Sometimes my dog is sitting on my lap. There's trees outside of my window. Everything that's alive, including the molecular realm. Wait, I'll grab a little crystal. Here's my beautiful Herkimer diamond crystal. Anything that's around you, crystals, soil, structure, how about even metal? Like here's whatever, I'm sitting on a metal chair, I'm sitting on all these things. All of these things begin to do this dance together. So I start off with the basic up, down, and then I'll move to the side, or maybe be like palm trees, you take the side. And then I'll be like, rodents, you take the front and the back. And then we'll start doing end over end. It's just like getting the band together. So, and the music that I put on it makes me feel joy. What does it make me feel like? I feel joyous. I feel kick ass. I feel like, yeah, this feels awesome. This is what we're doing. And I connect a lot with the sun and the stars, because I said to you, that's where all of my ideas, my consciousness comes from. It's like getting reconnected to all of that. That's the real world. This is like a simulation, a simulacrum, like a slice of reality that's not full, real reality. And joining that world is like, oh, like this is where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to be doing. So the more that we fly in rainbow lasagna, the more that we end that bifurcation. We're supposed to occupy that world at the same time that we occupy this world. Pardon me, this world is supposed to be a perfectly calibrated physical world where the cellular structure of our body and the events of our life and what we emit as thought and emotion and even verbalization, even what you sing, becomes perfectly tuned. And everything around you becomes perfectly tuned. Like, I don't know if you've ever had the experience of walking through a beautiful forest, but like the swaying of the trees and the sound that makes, combined with the bird song, combined with everything else, it's a symphony. And if you're in the right frame of mind, you're like, wow, I can perceive the beauty of this music. It's being made by all of these organisms. But then a lot of the time it's like, you know, choreful thinking or being distracted by technology or being angry at whatever I read about on the news. Like, those are all the things that take me out of that mind state. So it's very rebellious to be like, no, screw you. I'm going to go into that mind state of exaltedness, of being connected to all the rest of this wonderful stuff that's going on in the symphony of life. Okay, wait. Jen asks, do you hum or make any sounds along with your music? So if I live in a house where I have other housemates, and although, you know, I have privacy and soundproofing in my studio, I try not to like disturb them and all the neighbors. If I lived on a mountaintop where no one could hear me, I would be singing and doing vocal overtones spontaneously. And so that's a big part of it. So yeah, and vocal overtones I'm talking about. So you can hear on that note, there's like the fundamental basic note that I'm singing, and then you hear do 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 do, and those are like the overlapping harmonic notes of our voice. And you can practice doing. I encourage everyone to chant, tone, practice doing this. Our voices are sacred instruments. And I've spoken about this before in the antediluvian worldwide sophisticated culture. But we're telepathic. We didn't have to use our voices to say something like, please pass the ketchup. Like, that would have been a telepathic request to someone else. So our voices were reserved for only vibrating the atmosphere for very special reasons, like to say something that you really want to be emanating and agitating the air for a long amount of time. So yeah, I try, when I do this singing, I try to, again, focus on bringing forward the realities that I wish to bring forward. I put all of those, like an artist, all of my rough sketches, all of my cares, all of my desires go into my voice as I'm sending out those emanations. Wait, back to this. Jen is saying, I get faces. I send them to entropy because they are all sad or mad. That is awesome. So when you say that you're seeing these faces, I see, it's almost like there's a bubble, you know, like a stretchy fabric, like you're trying to get through the stretchy fabric, and the beings that live on that stretchy fabric, those are the residues, the undigested consciousnesses of beings who died, but they didn't fully transcend. And that what's left behind is like your understanding, like sadness and misery and undigested pain. So yeah, the best, and you don't have to stop to like pat them all on the hand and say, there, dear, it's okay. The best thing that you can do, like you're doing, is take away energy from them, send them to entropy. It's like if you hear a wrong note, you're like, that's a wrong note. What do? You stop it. Like, you know, if it were guitar string, you would like dampen it. You know, you put your hand on it. You're like, no, don't play that note. You are all allowed to do this. This is part of, we are the living. We are in the living time field. They are the dead. They have already had their opportunity. They played a bunch of wrong notes. Their wrong notes do not have to emanate forever. You can be like that. We've had enough of that wrong note. Now it's time to have this experience. Okay, Rhonda's saying we need joy as we need air. This is a big takeaway from this presentation. Joy is one of the feelings that tells you you're doing the flying rainbow lasagna correctly. And I'm like, I'm not serious about this, but I'm serious about this. Like, I'm not like formal about the way that I'm very joyous in my approach. And like my little dog helps me to be joyous. The artwork I make is joyous. What I'm trying to say is that joy is a symptom of being in tune with this music of life. It doesn't mean that you're a lobotomized idiot. And you can also run a grueling marathon joyfully, like even when it's really hard, like, I'm running uphill, I'm running uphill. This is really hard, but I want to do it. That's how I feel on some of my paintings. And that's how I feel sometimes when I'm doing the lasagna. Sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm doing these complex calculations and I'm like, man, this is really hard, but I really love what I'm doing. Like, that's what it's like. It's like, this is really grueling. And sometimes there are impediments. Like, you know, you're trying to run a marathon and someone is like trying to put a stick in front of you. And you're like, screw you, you're not going to trip me up. I'm jumping over that stick. That's what it's like. So I said to you, you know, I sit in this, I start to see this world. It's like being in a video game or in a virtual reality. And it's filled with obstacles. And there are different things that I'm doing. So when I'm doing it, I'm not anticipating, I'm responding authentically in the moment. Like, what if a thing is coming at me, I'm like, oh, and now I need to do this with this thing. And every day the pattern is different. This is part of when I say to people that we as organic humans, we as creators, divine miniature co-creators and innovators and jazz musicians, we're way more powerful than any machine-based, purely logic-based, you know, artificial intelligence, even beyond the terrestrial technosphere, but that ancient artificial intelligence that has been oppressing humanity for so long. When you can innovate, when you can be a jazz musician, you're like, I'm responding in the moment to what is being played. So that's being a real virtuoso. When you get up to those levels where you're like, yeah, I've memorized a lot of melodies and I know a lot of beats and I know a lot of songs and structures, but what I'm really doing is I'm listening. I'm listening in the moment and I'm hearing what's being played and what do I need to play in order to integrate. So when I feel joy, that kick-ass feeling, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. So and it goes very fast, and I use my toes too. So sometimes I'll take off my shoes so I can wiggle my toes. So I'm doing all this fast movement, and it's all, my genes are dancing and my music is emanating and connecting with all these other DNA and all these other genes. Sometimes it feels like slow motion. Like we get to a level of complexity and going so fast that all of a sudden we break through, and then it feels like slow motion. And then sometimes it's like, I mean, most people use the analogy, like if you're in a near-death car accident or something, everything moves in slow motion, but I'm looking for a more positive reason for everyone to experience slow motion. But it's that type of thing where all of a sudden you're able to see all of these different variables are all working together, and you see how they all are going to fit together, and you know exactly what you need to do. It's like you level up to that next level. And then sometimes what I do is I do these, like, you know, the Z-axis, when this is vibrating back and forth like this. Sometimes what I do is I'm doing a motion almost like this, that is vibrating that Z-axis, and that is bringing, like, hopping in and out of reality. I have a very fast anecdote. Someone wanted to ask me about the Merkaba last week. I forgot to say this. So, okay. Wait, let me drink water. Then fast anecdote. I met this guy, like one of these conscious life expos, and he's like, hey, you're an extraterrestrial. I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, come on by and see this machine that I made that it like does like, visualization of the chakras. And so first he just, and I went with friends, I didn't go alone, don't worry. Not like weird person or whatever approaching me. So first he did just like a snapshot and then did like a video where you can see people's colors all around them. And then he's like, wait, now I want to show you what I'm working on upstairs. I went upstairs with a friend. So what he had us do was stand on 2 copper plates, and then he had video cameras that was like live. And we could actually see all of the colors that were our chakras, with violet at the top and with red at the bottom. And then what he wanted to do is have us do an interaction and be able to see the dog boss is coming on up, how the different chakras interact. Come on up, you can do it. Come here. Hold on a sec, guys, and I'll get back to the anecdote. Come here. Oh, here we go. Oh, hey, everybody. Oh, Cheeky's been sitting so quietly the whole time. It's almost time to be done. So she had to come and say hi. Thank you. So I was standing on my plate, and my friend was standing on her plate, and this guy had no problem locking in on her signal. But I kept doing my flying rainbow lasagna metabolic dance, and he kept on losing my signal because I kept jumping in and out of reality. That's the best way I can describe it, is that it is a jumping in and out of reality as we are transforming on a genetic level. So that, and thank you. We need a lot of love and hugs around here, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, let me get some more questions. Brandon says, it's just like when you shift gears on your bike. That is exactly. I don't ride a bicycle. I don't like the feeling. But that's exactly what it is. It is shifting gears. That you got it. I love that you guys don't get distracted by this. That's totally it. This is love. I'm getting total love from the boss over here. She's absolutely wonderful. And so sometimes when I'm doing the grueling flying rainbow lasagna, it's like running uphill. Sometimes Cheeky will jump on my lap and lick my face, and she'll be like, keep going, you can do it. And that is like such a wonderful, exactly, like she really feels it when I'm doing the dance. Sometimes she's not that into it. Sometimes she's totally into it, part of it, integrating, doing her own inspiration. Like I call her creature teacher. Like she's definitely teaching me about life. And so we need to recognize the wisdom of all the animals and plants around us. Here, give me all the hugs. Give me all the hugs. She absolutely adds to the dance. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, for me, even though she's trying to lick my lip gloss off, when she jumps on my lap and I'm doing the dance, honey, I don't consider it a distraction. And same thing, like if you have kids or anything like that and you're trying to do your flying rainbow lasagna dance and they want to climb on your lap, it's not a distraction. It's part of them doing their genetic dance and giving you their love. Like that's the whole thing. When I see birds flying by or butterflies or whatever while I'm doing my flying rainbow lasagna dance, I'm like, we are dancing together. And that's what this really is. It's an integration of all of these wonderful, amazing organisms all coming together. To me, this is what our planetary ascension is what the healing of our world is. So it's vibrating that separation barrier that says you're separate from the world. You're not separate from the world. You're connected to your dogs and your microbes and your palm trees and everyone else. Like we're all connected on this beautiful video screen and elsewhere. So thank you for allowing that. Yes, Cheeky, everyone loves you. You just got to know you're famous on the internet and everybody loves you. That's great. Yes, exactly. That, and Christina is agreeing that there's so much wisdom in the animal and plant kingdoms on this planet. I totally agree about that. And it was necessary for me to open my eyes to see that wisdom instead of condescending and dismissing them. So we need to do that as humans. Joelle says, Aurora, I really feel joy every time you have class and talk about stuff. I just want to bounce up and down after FRL class. That is the whole idea. I love to share these ideas with people. I don't consider this to be choreful work. Washing the dishes, that is choreful work. And it's also like so repetitive. It's like I have washed out the egg pan 22 million times. I think I've explored every reality of washing out, egg pans or whatever after you cook. But doing stuff like this is what we are meant to do, sharing ideas. And I get a big uplift out of sharing these ideas with other people. And then other people are like, yes, I feel wonderful. Like, that's love. That's what this really is. And this is the fuel that makes us fly through time. Like we're not in a clank, clank metal spaceship flying through time. we're in a spaceship of consciousness. And so this is the type of cultivation that we're doing. Just like when you play really awesome music, like when you're playing and everybody sounds good and the music is great and you're like, it's invigorating. It's very wonderful. And that's it. So yeah, I get very excited when I make my own artistic expressions on my own, but then I feel even better when I share it with other people. Jen is saying good vibes. It's totally what it is. And in the same way, like we can be brought down by negative, you know, bad players, people who make sour notes and wrong music and who aren't cool. Don't play with them. Play with the people that are cool. You know, like there's plenty of people I can share these ideas with, and they'd be like, "Aurora, you're crazy." You know, they'd say I'm crazy or whatever, not right for whatever reason. And I'm like, no, I don't want to share my ideas. I don't want to feed my lasagna to people that are like that. I want to feed my lasagna to people that are like, lasagna is awesome. Let's all keep doing this and sharing these ideas more and more with each other. Thank you for letting we got to take her out for a little walk too. She's been super patient while I've been doing my work here. Patricia agrees, dishes are eternal. And Rachel says, this really is the highlight of the week. So grateful for you in this space. I am so grateful for you as well. Seriously, like I've been doing this class for about 5 years, but I used to have like maybe 10 students. You know, it was like very few people that I could find to connect with and share these ideas. So it's wonderful to have it grow and to have more and more people, and people return from every semester. And I also want to say, I don't always have time to like specifically talk to each person, but I do feel individual people when I'm doing the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. I do feel, oh, thank you, Jen says, I love turning people on to you. Continue to share the Flying Rainbow Lasagna with everyone that we can. I feel the other musicians in the band. Oh, that is awesome that you forward the videos. Please do, because I'm telling you, there's an algorithm. If you directly share the links to people, I think it's very effective, because there is an algorithm that's like, hey, wait a minute, these are like the tools for unlocking reality. We better not share this with people. So share it with people as much as you possibly can, seriously. And then also, the more joyous we become, the better we become as masters of reality and creating our own ideal life experience, our own ideal body experience. We make better music. And the more that we interact with each other as opposed to the sour note musicians, the more that we transform this realm from a hellish realm into a heavenly realm. Like, that's what this is all about. That's what Flying Rainbow Lasagna is all about. This world has incredible potential. People are all like, oh, I want to get out of this world. They want to die. They want to do whatever to get away from here. I'm like, no, this is actually it's like if you had a house that was a really nice house. Like, this is a nice house, but it needs cleaning. It needs repainting. Like, we need plumbing things to be fixed with plumbing. Like, we need lots of things to be changed, but it can be really cool. That's Earth. Earth is this amazing place. It's an amazing opportunity. Jen says, with love, we can fix everything. That is absolutely truthful. Yes. Oh, she's saying you can feel me. I feel you guys. Patricia, I hope you feel me, because I send you gratitude so often in FRL into new reality. I feel you guys, definitely. So it's just like if I'm in a band and I'm busy focusing on my own music and keeping the beat, but I kind of look to the side and I'm like, oh, that guy, he's sounding good. That guy, he's sounding good. That's what it feels like when I do the Flying Rainbow Lasagna dance. I get into this state and I'm feeling it, and then I'm like, oh, like that person's really doing it. And then it's funny, sometimes someone will write me an email and be like, Aurora, were we Flying Rainbow Lasagnaing together on Sunday? And I'm like, yes, of course we were. Like, that is normal. This is what we're doing. We're becoming a telepathic society, and we're connecting as a planet. This is what we're supposed to be doing, everyone. This is like wonderful. So if you don't mind, I think I got to sign off and take Cheeky for a little walk. I think she's been super patient, and she's definitely needs a little bit of a relief. Let me just check that one last comment. You said, I think, Ron is saying one of the few things Facebook is good for, inviting people to view these videos. Thank you so much. Those that agreed are now on a different timeline. That is exactly right. That's exactly right. It's like being in the band. Come join the band. And that's really, it's literally why I'm on Facebook, you know, because it's so surveillance based and everything like that. Like, I'm not there in order to share, you know, personal aspects of my life. I'm there in order to share Flying Rainbow Lasagna, uplifting ideas, exactly, with everyone. So I'm going to, I'm going to end the recording for right now, and thank you to everyone who's watched and tuned in.